Hello, my Chunsters! My name is Glen Chun. I am your host of Wrestlecast. Yes, it's time to have some fun. Oh, and boy, God, we've got some fun for you today. We've got a jam-packed show, stacked top to bottom with all sorts of juicy topics and entertainment. And also, I'm not lowering the quality of my guests. Oh, no. Because today we have the referee, the man you know as John Harding. No, Obrey.
How dare you?
Sorry,
How dare you, John Harding? Unbelievable. Great start, Glenn. Love it.
Gotcha mania.
Yeah, love it. Thank you very much. How are we?
Well, we're very, very well. How are you, sir?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Throat's a little croaky, I must say, from last night. A lot of shouting.
Yes.
Being thrown about last night.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably not so great now that I had to go and botch that whole intro.
No, don't worry, mate. I'll forgive you. I'll forgive you for that one.
In fairness, though, we're going to recover that, though. We are going to recover that because you're the most over referee in the whole history. You're like the one guy that gets John. In fairness, not even Harding gets that chant going, but the ref does.
It's madness. I love it though. I love it. It gets me going. Gets me pumped. Yeah, absolutely love it.
I mean, that is the chant. And also, so ladies and gentlemen, a brief rundown of what's going to be happening today on Wrestlecast, episode 5 with John Obrey. We have
messed up again then.
I'm just gonna have to call you John.
Just call me John.
I'm just gonna call you John. Yeah. We have some fan questions for John, which is going to be awesome. We also have my personal selection of fan-friendly loveliness that I always ask. We also have, talking about our hoarse voices, I think mine's actually recovered quite nicely, ironically. We have a rundown from last night's Cornish Professional Wrestling's New Year's Revolution show in St. Austell at Penrith School. We're going to have a rundown of the results of what happened there. And then we're going to plug some awesome shows that are also coming up in March. We've got some WWE news. We've got, including the very sad story of Daniel Bryan's retirement. We're going to be talking about Daniel Bryan tonight because it's got to be done. And also, we'll be giving you a brief rundown of some schools in the local southwest England area for everybody who's down here who doesn't know where they can go to get trained and learn to do an arm drag and throw people around. We're going to talk to you about where you can go to learn to do all that stuff. So yeah, that's the show.
That is the show.
Oh, it's a good one. I must admit, I'm excited. I'm excited, and I don't want to wait any longer. So, first question, because we're going to do, I like to do fan questions first, actually. And since we did it for Jason King, we're going to do it this week again for Monsieur John. And the first question comes from regular fan of the show, George Bennett, who asks you, do you find it difficult being a bigger star than most of the prima donna wrestlers you have to manage to put on that good match?
Okay, yeah, I like that. Yeah, it is mad. Because when I came out and debuted at PWA, my first pro show, got booed quite a lot, as the referee does. But obviously, as it progressed, people started chanting, then everyone else started chanting my name. And no, I don't find it hard at all. I love it. I love the fact people chant me, Yeah, it just shows that obviously I'm doing something right in this business. So yeah, I absolutely enjoy and appreciate what the fans think of me.
That's awesome. I mean, you are like I remember from PWA, the show that happened in January. My God, that was like the biggest chant of the night was for yourself.
It was surreal. After every match, you just hear a faint John chant get louder and louder and louder, and yeah, it was loved every minute of it. But I think that's where it all started, was at that PWA show. Kind of progress. It's just kind of escalated from there, I suppose.
Escalated is the right word. And talking about escalation,
Yes.
thinking, I'm smooth, aren't I? I'm getting better at this. Talking about escalation, there is one point that has been escalating recently. It escalated last night further. It escalated last week on the show. All started at CPW November 28th in Weybridge School Hall when, well, Jason King blames you for costing him his world title story. And then obviously we had that story last week. Jason King, he says you pushed him over, that cost him the match. I mean, it's going off the rails. And Jason King has wrote into the show again, because Jason King, always following, he likes to keep his finger on the pulse of what's going on in pro wrestling, and Wrestlecast is a good way to do so. So he has asked, where do you get off ruining the King's title opportunities?
Typical Jason King, I suppose. He's right. I did push him at the November show, CPW. In my defense, he did physically provoke me. I tried to let it slide. He pushed me once, poked me in the chest, so I was like, okay, yeah, I'll let that one slide. But immediately after, he decided to push me again, and a little thing in my mind, in my brain, just snapped. So yeah, I reacted. I pushed him back. That's when Baisley rolled him up. I counted the 1, 2, 3. Shoulders were on the mat. Couldn't do anything about it. Like I said, a pin was made. So in my mind, I had to count the 1, 2, 3. And I do want to address what he said last week as well. It wasn't a fast count. Just want everyone to know that it was a regular 1, 2, 3. There's no fast count about it. Jason King just doesn't like the fact that he was pushed by a referee, embarrassed, and yeah, he lost his chance at being the CPW trophy winner. At the end of the day, Jason deserved everything he got, in my mind, so I'm not going to apologise to him. No, like I said, he deserved everything he got.
Yeah, man. If he's putting his hands on you and if he's provoking you, then honestly, you have no reason to apologise. Absolutely not.
Exactly. I mean, Jason King, he always tries to say to people, I won this match clean. Every match he says he's won clean. I guarantee, reviewing footage the night after, there are things I don't see. I've obviously been knocked down. The King's Court was involved, which actually got him the Academy Championship that he holds so dearly. He cheated his way to win that by having the King's Court involved. He's cheated pretty much every single match since then. This is why he is the longest reigning Academy champion.
Yes, and I'm sure just as a small service to Jason King, today I believe marks the 6-month period for his title reign.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But
that'll come to an end soon.
I believe there are plenty of challenges lining up to take on the King.
There are plenty of people wanting that opportunity, and we also have Grayson Reeves.
Yes, I was going to refer to that later on during the show plugs, but yes, Grayson Reeves, March 26th, sorry, not 27th, March 26th, at Babbacombe Road, St. Anne's Hall. Grayson Reeves will be taking on Jason King for that Academy Championship. That's LEP Show 7. It's going to be happening, and it's going to be awesome.
It will be. It will be. I'm hoping to keep my eyes focused on Jason King that night. I don't want any dirty tactics, shall we say? But we'll see what happens on the night. I reckon Grayson can do it.
So this is the thing. You've got to obey Obrey.
That's it. Obey Obrey. I like that.
No, I like that as well. I just made that up right there. It's kind of cool. I like that. Yes. So also, I was thinking about asking these questions myself later on in the show, but since it's a fan question that we wrote in, we're going to do it right now rather than later on. It's Sean Simpson who has asked you, what made you want to be a referee, and what advice would you give to anybody who's looking to step into that side of the business, perhaps, rather than become a wrestler?
Okay, that's a good question. I like that question. I suppose with being a referee, I've always been more interested. I mean, I love wrestling. I love pro wrestling. I love what these guys can do, the way they move in the ring, the things that they can take. It's just unbelievable. But I've definitely been more interested in the business side of things when it comes to pro wrestling, how that works. Refereeing, it's so much fun. That's the good thing about it. I see, you see a lot on the independent circuit, some of the referees on there always having a good time, and that's what I'm doing. Being a referee, you get to see, it's like having the best seat in the house. You've got your front row, second row, yeah, great seats, but I'm in the ring, I'm able to watch what these guys can, it's just amazing. And yeah, I think, business side, that's always intrigued me. So that's what made me wanted to do refereeing. Hopefully going to learn some more of the business side as well while I'm doing my refereeing. Advice I'd give to people, find a good training school for one. Find a good training school, someone who knows everything about the business rather than just the wrestling side. I know you've got to know the business and that, but there are a lot of, people that they know the wrestling side. That's what they've done there pretty much their entire lives. So make sure, that you find a school that will teach you in every aspect, basically. It's good fun. It's a great way to get into the business as well. Get to meet so many interesting people and work with so many interesting people as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I found like just being at shows, constructing rings, being ring crew, is you're just rubbing shoulders with virtually everybody.
Definitely.
And that's also how the podcast started back up as well. I like rubbed shoulders with a few guys, talking to a few guys. I realized, hell, like what if we could make these conversations? What if we could have these conversations like on a public forum, like, and then the podcast, like, well, I know how to podcast, sort of. So let's revive that. Now we're here and we're doing it live. So
brilliant. Yeah, taking off from there, I suppose.
Absolutely. So that's the 3 fan questions I have from Facebook, which were asked in advance of the show, which you can always do if you follow me at Glen Chun on my like page. You can always post questions for any guests before the show happens on the actual announcements. You can do that on Twitter as well. You can also email me at glenchun14@gmail.com if you have a special question and you really don't want to get lost in the shuffle on Facebook or anything. You can send a question to my email there, and I can read that, and I will jot it down, and it will get asked, and it will get answered. And also, if you think of a question live on the air, and you think, damn, I've got to get this question answered, you can also just send in those emails. But there is also a Q&A app that runs on the actual Google Hangout screen. That happens. I'm actually following this stream on the Google Hangout stream myself right now, and I've just lost it because I clicked away from it. Well, how clever. There you go, I'm back. And this is a really cool feature. It allows you to, because YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, I should point out to you that whilst we stream live, the YouTube comments are automatically disabled. There is nothing I can do about that, I'm afraid. That is a Google preset, and it just does that. I have no control over that, I'm afraid. There's nothing I can do. There's no settings or things I can do about it. But if you do want to leave comments, you can go along and click on the annotation on the YouTube screen that says "Be a part of the conversation." Now, if you click on that, it will take you to another screen where you can be a part of the conversation. You can also ask questions. I've got the comment tracker going. I've got a Q&A app going here. And I should be able to see your comments as they come up live on air. So if you do have a question for John Obrey live tonight, I can answer that for you. Now, there's also a bit of housekeeping on that front whilst I'm talking about all this and plugging this element of Google Hangouts, because we've gone into the realms of Plug City again, into the border realms of it. There is something I do have to tell you. It's been brought to my attention this week that mobile viewers, if you're on a mobile or even potentially a tablet or an app of that nature, it's currently looking like Google has shut down your access to that stream. So if you want to be able to get onto that stream to interact with us, I'm afraid, as far as I know, you're going to have to be on a laptop or a desktop computer to do that. But if you are on either of those things, then you can get a question submitted live on air. Live on air. Imagine that. Instant gratification. You can't beat that. And I was expecting John to go, "No, you can't."
Sorry, man, I don't know what happened there. Just started daydreaming for a minute. You were going on for so long.
That happens though. When you've got to get in Plug City, you've got to get some things done.
It's got to be done, isn't it?
It's like the order of things. I have to tell people how they can submit questions to you live on air now that we've done all the fan questions. We move on. Yeah, so thank you to George, Jason, and Sean for your questions. Very much appreciated. And when I update you on the next guest, please feel free. Ask again. It's awesome. For now, I'm going to go on to my industry standard questions that everybody loves because they always produce nice answers.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure you'll get some good answers.
Oh, yes. And the one that we always love to do, because it's always a nice question to ask to start with, is how did you first become interested in this crazy world that we call pro wrestling?
Interested in this crazy world of pro wrestling. I must admit, I would have been about 10, I think, 10 or 11. That's when Royal Rumble 2000 was the first major show that I watched. And anyone who's watched Royal Rumble 2000 will know what an epic Royal Rumble that was. Rock winning the Royal Rumble, last two in the Royal Rumble, Big Show and The Rock. That was amazing. Obviously, the street fight between Cactus Jack and Triple H, epic. Another epic match. Too Cool dancing in the Royal Rumble. I found that really cool. That was amazing. So yeah, it would have been Royal Rumble 2000 for me. Amazing pay-per-view. That's what got me first into wrestling, was seeing that.
Oh, that is a hell of a rumble.
It was a hell of a rumble. Like I said, the matches were unbelievable as well, because you also had the table match between Dudley Boys. I believe that was the first table match in WWE between the Dudley Boys and the Hardys. Yes,
I think you're right.
Because it was obviously definitely the Dudleys that introduced the tables to WWE. We'd seen them before in ECW, but I don't think we ever saw them in WWE. So yeah, that for me sold me on wrestling. Absolutely amazing. So I checked everything else out, you know, from the 80s with Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, and yeah, I've loved it ever since.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. You get your bug, you become interested in pro wrestling, and then obviously you make your step into the world, and that's the next question. Is like, when did you first become involved in pro wrestling?
Well, first become involved. It would have been a couple of years ago. I got in touch. I found out about LEP Wrestling School. So I got in touch with Danny Walsh, still head coach down at LEP. Yeah, we got chatting, and I joined, did a session. Unfortunately, got injured on my first ever session. This was at the hands of Krieger, and anyone who knows Krieger, 7 foot tall monster. But it was more like, obviously, he didn't do it on purpose. No one ever really does these things on purpose. Freak accident. Leg stayed in one place and knee completely blown. And I've got to admit, it really, really did put me off wrestling training. Training aspect. Yeah, it really, really put me off. So I actually didn't go back for, it must have been about a year. And then, I thought to myself, it got to around about a year, and I got back in touch with Danny saying, look, I want to do this again. So I paid for a certain amount of months in September, and yeah, here we are, about 6 months down the line, and I'm on the pro shows, which I didn't think would happen 6 months down the line. Still a lot to learn, obviously, but yeah, September was the big time for me where I started training. But yeah, I've known Dan for about 2 years now, it must be, and yeah, it was great. It was great to come back. It really was.
It's that glorious return. Which that's. I didn't even realize when I first met you at LEP. I didn't realize that you'd only been on the actual reffing pro shows like a month before I actually saw you ref. Because when I first saw you was it would have been CPW at the end of November. I didn't realize you.
Yeah, that's right. Because you're training with obviously LEP now. LEP Wrestling Academy. But yeah, I think that would have been the first time, because you joined shortly after that, I believe. And yeah, I think before that, I'd refereed a couple of the LEP Academy shows, but the pro show, PWA, October Overdrive, that was my first one. So CPW, that would have been number 2, wouldn't it? That would have been my my second pro show.
Wow, I mean, I didn't even know that. So, obviously, I think everybody has. Normally, when I have the wrestlers on the show, I ask them like who'd be their dream opponent. Now, can't really ask that of you because as referees, you don't really tend to face people.
Yeah.
But I have got a variation of the question, which is, what match, if you could ref, what match would you dream to ref?
Oh. You asked some tough questions.
If you could have refereed any one of them.
Wow. Oh, blimey. Off the top of my head, I've got just the amount of matches that have just flown through my head is unbelievable. If I could, it would have to be doesn't matter what match, but a Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat. Because I believe that rivalry was amazing. Absolutely. One of the best rivalries ever for me. So it would have to be a Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat match.
Oh, that rivalry, man.
It was just amazing. And I think how they worked together, they worked really well together, because obviously with Ricky Steamboat being, in my mind, he was an ultimate babyface. I don't think there was a single person, man, woman or child, that didn't love Ricky Steamboat, and everyone hated Ric Flair. So it was a good combination, the way they worked well together, the fact that how accomplished they were already, when that rivalry first came to, that would have to be the ultimate dream. Any match, doesn't matter, any stipulation, as long as it's got Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat in it, I'll be happy.
As long as you've got those two guys, that's what you need.
That's it.
Oh, that's brilliant. So there's a bit of a truth that we have to say here about yourself. When you started, you weren't actually, you were Joe, but you sort of gone through this metamorphosis into being John.
John, yes.
And that's now obviously that we know that's taken off, and it takes off crazy. Anybody goes to a PWA show or a CPW show or any show that John refs, you will find out just how popular John is as a ref. So, of course, that's how, what I want to know is, like, how did that actually shift from being Joe Obrey to, like, the switch down to John and just upward shift, maybe, probably. How did that all get started?
Well, it was actually crazy how that started. Really, it was just an accident. Ring announcer Luke for PWA. This was my debut show. I thought, brilliant. You know, people are going to know my name. You know, awesome. People are going to start to get to know. You know, because originally in my head it was, I'm Joe Obrey, so Joey O. Obviously, it was kind of one of them choices. Sounds like a fun, you know, referee's name. So I had that set. Luke goes out, steps into the ring, you know, starts talking to the fans, saying, "You ready for a good night?" Or that. Oh, and right, so it's time to introduce our referee for the evening. I'll be on the curtain, yeah, Joey O, Joe Obrey. He's written it down on this, you know, he's going to get it right. I know he's going to get. And we would like to welcome our referee for this evening, John Obrey. And I saw even all the LEP boys like, who the hell's John? Who's John? And I was like, John's my father's name. So I was looking for my dad. I was like, oh, wait, is my dad refereeing? No, obviously I'm John. So I thought, okay. So it didn't really take off from there. Where it took off was the next PWA show. Once again, Luke's ring announcing, gets his little pad out and his pen. Right, I can't remember your name. What's your name? It's Joe. I made sure I'd say it really clearly. Joe. Just like that. Joe Obrey. Write it down. Brilliant. Next thing you know, announces me as John Obrey. That's when the chant started. That's when the chant started for John Obrey. But yeah, it was just an accident, and it's kind of just, this accident has just spiraled out of control. It has just spiraled out of control. But like I said earlier on, I love it. I love it. It's such a great feeling.
It's now like the embracing of that has really, yeah. It's just like whenever you go to PWA, CPW, every time is you just get that big chant. It's like every time you show up at LEP for training on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 o'clock. For anybody who wants to know. I think I'm always the first to start it, really, at them. I'm just like, as soon as I see him, I'm like, John. It's awesome.
It's crazy. Yeah, like you said, even down at the academy, I walk through the door and I just get John. Same as at the shows, it's John. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to get tired of that, I'll be honest. It's such great fun. But now, you know, Joe has formed into John, and Terry last night added a little twist onto it, so he wants me to be known at CPW as Double J. So it's now Double J John, but I'm hoping for everyone just stick with John. That'll suit me down to the ground. I like that.
Oh, it's lovely though when something like happens like that, because it's just completely has its own life and it's grown by itself, and that's the awesome thing.
Just so yeah, just a random moment, and it's just spiraled out of control, and you know it's just going to keep spiraling. More people chanting. Yeah, that'll do me. I love it.
That's awesome. And I think you already answered a little bit of this earlier on, but I'm just going to ask again in case there's anything else. What do you most enjoy about being a referee?
There's loads of things, really. But I think the top one for me is the guys I get to work with. You know, the incredible talent. I mean, CPW alone last night, working with the likes of the main event, great main event, 2 out of 3 falls, Ligero, El Ligero and PJ Jones. The caliber of talent I'm getting to work with at the moment is unreal, and I will admit I'm so humble to be working with this kind of talent. the veterans, the pro, they're just absolutely amazing. It's just an amazing experience. So yeah, I think for me, referee, it is the people I get to work with. That's the main thing for me.
Oh man, that's always the if you enjoy the people who you're working with, that's the coolest thing in the world. And normally, what I do at this point is I ask if you have any advice for new starters. But thankfully, thanks to Sean Simpson from earlier, we've already had that question, so that's kind of cool. So I can jump straight into John Obrey, Plug City. It's time for you to plug. Like where can all the fans see you ref? Where can they find you on the internet as well? If they want to find out where John is going to be.
Where John's going to be, that's right. Well, if people ever want to follow me, I've got a Facebook page, obviously. Joe Obrey. I am under Joe. I will say that I am under Joe Obrey. But in terms of shows, we've got quite a few booked. The next one for me would be LEP 7, Jason versus Grayson at St Anne's Hall, Babacombe. We've been there once before and we got a really good turnout for that, I believe. Full house we had for that. Great show as well, great response. So we're back there on the 26th of March. And then obviously the big show that everyone's been buzzing about, everyone in the Southwest wrestling community who's been going to PWA, been going to CPW, seeing all these big stars. April 17th, Plymouth Guildhall. I'll be there, but we're going to have the likes of Drew Galloway, Dave Mastiff, El Ligero is going to be there, Pollyanna, a top female British wrestler. Loads of top high caliber talent in that show, and I think that's the biggest show so far of this year. Will be April 17th at Plymouth Guildhall. It will be because the British Grand Prix, absolutely amazing amount of talent coming to that show.
Yeah, no, I must admit when I heard about that, and it's Plymouth Guildhall as well. I've been there before, and it's a big venue. Hopefully we're hoping for a good turnout. Obviously, closer to the show, when matches start getting announced and the lineup starts getting announced, I'm going to start plugging the death out of that lineup because, like you say, you got your Dave Mastiff, you got El Ligero, who was at CPW last night, and absolutely, who's also, you can see El Ligero right here on the podcast. That is his picture. Once I get a better webcam as well, you'll be able to see that much better, by the way. But yes, he'll be, like you say, he's going to be at the show. Drew Galloway's going to be at the show. Hopefully all the PWA classics, your PJ Jones is the winner, who's also been on the show. Your UK Dominator will hopefully be there. And I can see all these guys being there as well.
I'm sure they will be. Yeah, we've got Danny Walsh, Tyler Hawk, Mark Walsh, Jason King. That's going to such a huge show. This is going to be definitely not one to miss.
Oh, absolutely not. And this is the first show moving into the Guildhall, isn't it? Because they've outgrown, I think it's fair to say, that previous venue. Stonehouse Creek Leisure Centre.
Yeah, Stonehouse Creek, fantastic venue. Always had good shows there. Put on really good shows there. Fans have always enjoyed it, but maybe a bigger venue, it'll be hell of a lot better. Attract more attention as well. It's just going to get bigger. PWA is just going to get bigger and better, and they're proving that every single show gets bigger and better.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like I think we said it before on this podcast. That's one of the reasons why I like to focus on the Southwest wrestling scene. Quite besides the point that I live in the Southwest of England. I mean, I'm not going to lie, that is a big part of it, but also because it's growing. Obviously with the return of DWA March 5th. That's going to be happening, and it's growing. and the talent that are coming out of the Southwest as well. I mean, obviously, I also have a hand in seeing a fair few of the guys as they're being trained as well, because I get myself down to CPW boot camps, I get myself to LEP Academy, and exciting times.
Oh, definitely exciting times. Definitely. I mean, you know, I think the best one so far, obviously, Grayson Reeves came out of LEP Academy. He's now up at WAW, you know, so moving on to bigger and better things. So, yeah, the talent that is, and, you know, you've got Jason King as well. As much as I dislike Jason King, as much as he grinds my gears, another one, top talent. And, you know, it's just getting better and better, the talent down in the Southwest. I think at the moment, the Southwest is definitely one to watch for talent that's coming out of these academies and these training schools. Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And talking about the Southwest, we're going to introduce a new feature to the show. I haven't done it before, but we're going to go down a bit like football table. It's like you get in football tables when they read out like the score lines. We're going to run down the CPW New Year's Revolution results.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
Dramatic music to that, haven't you, really?
Yes. Unfortunately, I can't put any actual dramatic music onto the podcast. Otherwise, this thing will get taken down for copyright reasons.
Oh, I think you did a good job.
Lose my live broadcasting license. So we're going to have to do all music ourselves. Any sound effects also going to have to be done by ourselves. Yes. So we had a card, a 6-match card for us today. Our first match was between the UK Dominator and the Rocker, John Harding. And the winner of this match would go on to face Double D, Dancing Daddy Bainsley, for the CPW trophy. Now, this match, it was a packed carnage. There's action all over the arena in the balcony section of the... I think we can call it the balcony section. Yeah, it's called the balcony section, the raised area. Action up there. It was violent. In the end, Jason King also interjected himself in that match, and the UK Dominator, the ultimate rule breaker as he calls himself, that's self-professed, UK Dominator, he picked up the win, took full advantage of Jason King's interference, and got the win there. And immediately, and a bit unfair to the UK Dominator in a way, immediately after that, Dancing Daddy Bainsley, he came out for his match with the UK Dominator for the CPW Trophy Championship. Now, in this match, there's a little bit of controversy. There was a moment where the Dancing Daddy actually took you out, John.
He did. That's right. Yes.
And
in the turnbuckle, I don't. Still to this moment, I don't know what. All I know is I got crushed between Bainsley and that turnbuckle. Yeah, not good.
Which is a shame, because that allowed Jason King and a handful of talcum powder to the face of Bainsley. But again, UK Dominator cannot fault his savvy, took full advantage, and that means you have a new CPW Trophy champion. He is the UK Dominator.
That's right, like you said, took full advantage of that. Yeah, down to Jason King once again, you know, playing those dirty tactics as he always does. It doesn't matter whether it's in his own match or someone else's match. He's always got to have the spotlight on him. That's Jason King. But
can't take anything away from UK Dominator. He had to wrestle John Harding and Bainsley, and for him to pick up the win against both guys, just back to back. That's an incredible achievement.
I got to admit, I did feel a bit for UK Dominator having to wrestle John Harding, then like you said, immediately after wrestle Dancing Daddy Ainsley. So yeah, like you say, you can't take anything away from Dominator, but yeah, Jason King, I've got to start watching him a lot more. Very sly.
Yeah, and then to round off the first half of the show, we had two guys who made their CPW debut, and they were Josh Knott and Liam Lazarus, who came to us from Leeds, I think it was. He traveled all the way down with a certain El Ligero as one of his main students. And these two had a fiercely competitive match. Josh Knott, he worked that. He got that arm. He wrenched it good. Like you could see, Liam was struggling with his arm all the way through the match, but persevered. As your winner, Liam Lazarus walked away with the win there and helped celebrate a kid's birthday after the match.
That's right. Yeah, like you said, it was off the chart amazing. It really was a great match to be a part of. At one point, I thought Josh was going to tear Liam's arm right out of its socket. He really worked that arm, and I wasn't sure, refereeing that match, whether Liam was going to be able to continue. But, he's such a strong-willed person. He great wrestler. He, the adrenaline pumping, feeding off the crowd, and took the win away from Josh Knott. And like you said, great little moment at the end, celebrating little man's birthday.
Peter's
really cool. Yeah, great match that was.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, I was there at ringside. I got to see that match, and the abuse Josh Knott put on Liam's arm was quite stunning. Yeah, I imagine very, very painful to continue to fight through.
Yeah, but, vicious man, Josh Knott, and Liam. Kudos for taking what Josh Knott dished out, but picks up the win. But great match.
Absolutely. And then we had our intermission, and your opening bout after the intermission was a tag team match, which was contested by the pretty boy Danny Walsh, who was handing out roses to a special girl in the crowd. And also the rookie, as he's billed on the CPW website, Jamie Pierne, and they faced off against the elite, marvelous Mark Walsh and Jason King. Now, I have to say this match was fiercely competitive, as Danny and Mark have a simmering rivalry going on there. At CPW, which was started in November with a hell of a match, which Danny picked up the win on, and these two things are developing between those two in a very serious situation. But in this match, it was Jamie Pierne and Jason King were also involved in this one, and again another very, very competitive match, which saw marvelous Mark Walsh pick up the submission victory against Jamie Pierne with what looked to be an absolutely vicious leg hold. Absolutely, I mean, I couldn't. But a bit of controversy after this match, actually. Mark wasn't done there. He continued to hold on to that hold, and in the end, you had to try and pull him off. Jamie, for the safety of the performers, on the match, you use full advantage of the CPW trainees are all watching at ringside, and they all came in for the help. But about 8 trainees tried to separate the two, but it wasn't over there. Danny, I think, had just done Jason in on the outside, and we couldn't quite separate the two of them, and Mark Mark got a measure of revenge on Danny when he hit Danny with an RKO after the match. A pure chaos, really. But eventually, order was restored.
Yes, yeah, it was quite chaotic at the end. I used my best judgment. There was no way I could get Mark to unlock that ankle lock. It was on there pretty tight. You could see he was angry, and he wanted to break, genuinely wanted to break JP's ankle, leg, whatever, what have you, you know. So yeah, I used my best judgment, and like you said, I took full advantage of having you and the CPW trainees at ringside. But yeah, Mark did get some revenge on Danny. This feud is just going to keep growing and growing. It's getting to a point where it is going to go out of control. I can see it. But yeah, this is a rivalry that also you don't really want to stop watching. You know, you want to see what's going to happen, because yeah, it was vicious last night. You know, just thinking about it now, I'm finding it hard to get my words out. The chaos, it was just, yeah, amazing match. But this feud is just getting bigger and bigger and badder as well. It's just going to get worse.
Yeah, this is a feud which is not done yet. It's not done yet.
No, not by a long shot. It's bitter at the moment. And yeah, I can see it getting worse and worse.
But then after that chaos and intended carnage, we thankfully avoided. I think we just about got there in the last second to prevent JP from suffering any serious injury. We had a first ever for CPW, which was a women's match, which featured one of the top British female talents, Nixon Newell, facing off against relative newcomer Kat Von K. This was, again, a very, very competitive match. Nixon brought it to Kat and really put her through her paces. And but Kat Von K, in what I believe was only, you can count the matches she's had on a handful, she picked up the win against experienced wrestler Nixon Newell in what can only be described as possibly upset of the night. That was a huge win for Kat Von K in that match.
Oh yeah, like you said, Nixon's a accomplished, female wrestler, and for Kat to pick up the win, yeah, I got to say as well, I agree with you. They're definitely upset of the night. There was definitely no getting up from that unprettier she hit. That was pretty pitch perfect, beautiful finishing maneuver. Again, nearly got myself taken out in that match as Nixon Newell came in for the spear, and Kat pulled me in front of Nixon. Luckily, Nixon stopped, managed to stop herself, but that's where Kat took full advantage and yeah, picked up the win, upset victory. But got to hand it to Kat. She held her own against Nixon. She showed she's one to watch. Definitely one to watch. Yeah,
she proved she deserves to be where she is. I mean, that and prettier. And it wasn't just your Christian style. She really pulled Nixon's arms right out and made sure that Nixon's face got smashed on that mat.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then it was time for the main event. 2 out of 3 falls. PJ had told everybody about this match on this podcast 2 weeks prior. It was the winner, PJ Jones versus the Mexican sensation El Ligero. 2 out of 3 falls. I mean, this one, so much happened. It's hard to remember everything, to be honest. Again, action all over the arena. There was no part of the arena that was left unactioned.
That's let's say. True.
That's a very bad way to put it, but it's the only way I can think of it now. First fall went to the winner. what can only be described as he sidestepped Ligero and sent Ligero flying into a whole fleet of chairs in the audience. It's so many chairs, it was ridiculous. Half the arena got taken out for that one. And then it was a count-out victory for PJ. That was the first of all. Ligero, crafty guy, he got his revenge. He got even things up with a very, very, very quick roll-up off a counter from PJ. But in the end, PJ Jones, he just about prevailed in what was I was blown away by that match. But ultimately, your winner, and the ultimate, I'm going to do it again because it really gets across, winner was PJ Jones with 2 falls to 1.
That's right. It was a very, very fast-paced match. Like you said, they once again, that arena got used to its full potential. They were everywhere. One point, I didn't know. I got to admit, I was a bit worried when El Ligero sent PJ tumbling over that little balcony, hitting the floor, and then hitting him with that double foot stomp. And I thought that was, I was really, really impressed by that, because like I said, I'd only seen El Ligero through highlights and previous matches on YouTube and stuff like that. So to be there, standing next to him when he was doing his thing, so to speak, it was just a high caliber match. It was again an amazing match. The entire card that night and the matches, in their own way, were amazing matches. It is a shame El Ligero didn't pick up the win. It was very, very close. There were so many roll-ups through that match, with so many near falls as well. I'll admit, I didn't know. Sometimes I could tell which way it's going to go. Through refereeing, I can tell whether maybe, say, if it was John Harding Dominator, sometimes I could tell if John's going to pick it up or if Dominator's going to pick it up. But this one, I just couldn't. I didn't know who was going to come out as the winner. I've got to give my respect to both of those guys for putting on that amazing match.
That's right. The ebb and flow of that match was one of those that was impossible to read. And I think Ligero felt a bit wronged. I think he felt on that final roll up that got PJ the win. I think he felt that the tights would pull, but I was on the wrong side of the ring. I didn't see that. Yeah,
he did say that to me very soon after that near fall, but I didn't see it. So the decision, it stands. PJ still undefeated at CPW.
And the winner is continuing his winning ways in very, very dramatic style.
A very hot winning streak at the moment for PJ Jones.
What is it? I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's had wins. He's had a win against Doug Williams. A win against Joel Redman. Former, who, by the way, won half of the first ever NXT Tag Team Champions alongside Vision Neville. PJ Jones has picked up that win, and now El Ligero in 2 out of 3 falls, which means he had to beat El Ligero twice in one night. I mean,
hats off to PJ Jones. He is on an unbelievable winning streak, and the way he's, the way it is at the moment, I think we're going to see that winning streak continue. I really do.
The momentum and the ball, as they would say, is firmly with him at this point in time.
Yes.
But that was last night, and there are going to be more shows happening in the very near future. For instance, we have DWA returns to Tiverton on March 5th, and that's going to be at the Heathcote. I'm just going to read my note to make sure I've got this name right. Yep, the Heathcote Social Club. And that will be featuring the former NXT superstar, and like I just told you, one half of the first ever NXT Tag Team Champions and founder of DWA, Joel Redman. Matches are being announced soon on the DWA Facebook page. So if you want to know the lineup as it gets announced, you've got to head over to the DWA page. I can only speculate, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to speculate and lead people down the wrong path. But that's going to be a show you're going to want to watch. Yes, I believe some big talent is going to be on that show. Then you also have a show that's that's going to be near and dear to us, to both mine and John's hearts. It's going to be LEP Academy Show 7, and that is going to be at Babbacombe Road in St Anne's Hall on the 26th of March, which is obviously a venue LEP6 pack that venue. We want to pack that venue again, and it's going to be awesome. And like we've mentioned it's going to be the LEP Academy champion Jason King, 6-month reign, versus the challenger Grayson Reeves, who we have already cited as one of the most talented guys to have come out of the LEP Academy. He's now at the World Association of Wrestling. If I can speak, that would help me. And that's in Norwich. He's currently wrestling up there. And also, congratulations to them. And I think they've actually secured a TV deal now. I believe that's happened. I saw Saturday Night tweeted something along those lines. So yeah, you're gonna have that's gonna be incredible.
That's gonna be an amazing show. It really is. Like we say, it's gonna be Jason King versus Grayson Reeves for the Academy Championship. This is something that's kind of been slowly working, and it's all coming to a head. Grayson got his #1 contendership at the last show through eliminating Jason King from the Royal Rumble, securing his spot. So there's definitely this is going to be another bitter rivalry. I think this is definitely months in the making, let's put it that way.
Yes, I'm expecting this to be, as they say, a war.
I agree with you there. I've got a feeling it is going to be a war. It's going to be a battle. Definitely.
Absolutely. Now it's come to that time of the show. I just realised we are running a bit over time. We're almost at the hour. Which I thought we'd be done by then, but we weren't. It's always nice when things happen like that. But international news, WWE, there's some interesting stuff happening there. At the moment, Titus O'Neil is serving a 60-day suspension for putting his hands on Vince McMahon. It was as they were leaving the stage. It was post-show. It wasn't actually broadcast on air. After Daniel Bryan's retirement speech, we'll more on that in a second. It was after that, and they're all leaving the stage because they all came out to give Daniel Bryan a round of applause. And so apparently the story goes, Vince meant to leave, but apparently the plan or something along those lines was that Stephanie was going to leave first. It's ladies first type of thing. And when Vince went to leave, Titus grabbed and said, "Oh no, you've got to remember, let Stephanie go." But Vince wasn't expecting to be grabbed, threw Titus O'Neil away, and now Titus is serving a 60-day suspension.
Yeah, that's right. I've got to admit, I've seen it so many times, and I do think to myself, does this really deserve a 60-day suspension? You could see the smile on Titus's face, and then you saw the smile on Vince's face as well. He didn't look too pleased when it first happened, but I think we all thought it was a bit of a joke. So I think the whole reason for this suspension was it was as they were going off air, as they were closing that segment. And so, yeah, I think that annoyed Vince McMahon. I know he's always said nobody puts their hands on Vince McMahon, but I don't think it was fair to suspend Titus for 60 days. You know, the potential of missing WrestleMania. You know, I think he was starting to get himself on quite a roll as well. He was starting to win his matches, looking good, you know, in the ring. And this momentum he's had going for himself, it's all of a sudden just been come to a halt through this silly altercation that once again something I don't know. I think Vince was having a senior moment. I'll be honest. I think he really has with this 60-day suspension. I don't get it. I really don't. But hopefully they'll lift that and we'll have Titus back. I really hope it.
Well, hopefully so. Titus admitted he put a text saying that he made a mistake, which has been broadcast. It's actually been shown publicly, that text, which I don't know if I agree with airing dirty laundry like that out in public for the domain, but that's the way WWE likes to do things these days. They're quite open about what goes on there. But I think the sole problem was it wasn't a planned segment at all, and Vince just simply wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, he got shrugged off, but it's just a weird case of backstage politics manifesting themselves in unusual circumstances, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I mean, I can understand them being angry, but like I really don't think it deserves a 60-day suspension. You know, as 2 months out, it didn't deserve that at all.
It was a minor thing.
Well, they suspend, as I'm aware, they suspend wrestlers 90 days for.
That was the original thing. It was originally meant to be 90 days.
Sorry?
It was originally meant to be 90 days.
I thought it was. I thought it was meant to be 90 days. And so, you know, it's hard because they've suspended him for the same amount of days that they would suspend a wrestler on the basis of the wellness policy. You know, if they fail any drugs tests, you know, stuff like that, and they would get suspended for 60 days. So this is why I don't get why Titus has been suspended for 60 days. So he's been classed as the same that would be suspended on the basis of the wellness policy. I just don't understand. I really don't understand why they've done it. But it's Vince McMahon. Like I said, senior moment. That's what it was. Vince is having yet another senior moment.
I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate, but I mean, Titus O'Neil does a lot of charity work backstage. I think he'll be back. I think he'll come back stronger than ever. But unfortunately, somebody who isn't going to be coming back, and it has been confirmed on Raw.
You're going to have to let me get my tissues out here, Glen.
It was such a heartfelt speech. I think.
It breaks my heart to talk about.
This has got to be one of the best retirement speeches. Like ever as well. Man, it's Daniel Bryan's retirement. That happened on Monday. It was announced before the show. Daniel Bryan went out there in his hometown, Aberdeen, Washington, and gave a speech. Health circumstances, basically. I think a lot of the time recently, the worry was the shoulder, which he'd been struggling with. I think that's what forced him into injury status. But they found out that there's damage which has been mounting up throughout his 16-year career, and it's just unfortunately it's come to the point now where if he continues wrestling, potentially some very serious side effects for him. But I mean, for 16 years though, what a career that man has had.
An amazing career, because you know there are going to be some fans that didn't know he had that much of a career, because there are fans you've got fans that are wrestling fans, and then you've got fans that are WWE fans. You know, they're and only WWE fans. So there are going to be quite a few people who didn't know the American Dragon, you know, Bryan Danielson. That no one would have, you know, expected him. I didn't expect to see him, I'll admit, in the WWE. Just I knew he could make it. Every one of his fans knew he could make it in the WWE, but it was whether the WWE would think that a man of his size, because not a big bloke, obviously, you know, 5'6", barely weighs 250 pounds. You know what I mean? He's not the well built guy, but what he can do in the ring is beyond unbelievable. You know, the way he can move, and trained by legendary Shawn Michaels as well. You know, you can see it. You can see that he's been trained by someone like Shawn Michaels. Very sad. He had a lot left in him to give. I think that's what we're all struggling with. We know he could have just kept going. He would have been a multiple-time champion. One of the most accomplished wrestlers to be in WWE, to have been in WWE, I feel, in the last 5 years. Won every single, you think about it, every single title WWE has had in the last 5 years since he's been there. He's won the United States, Intercontinental, Tag Team, World Heavyweight, and WWE World Heavyweight. Every single belt put in front of him, he's taken.
There's nothing, as far as the things that WWE have to offer, the only thing he didn't get was a Royal Rumble win.
That's true.
I mean, like, if that's the only thing that's not on your list, like, of things yet to do in the WWE, well, I mean, that's nothing, is it really? He main evented WrestleMania, and won.
Yeah. And not only just a WrestleMania, probably the biggest WrestleMania to date.
One of the most groundbreaking, for sure.
Yeah, you know, 30 years of WrestleMania, he won on that biggest day, and he beat Evolution. You think about it, he beat Evolution that night. He beat Triple H, he beat Batista, and he beat Randy Orton to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And that, for me, is probably one of the greatest WrestleMania moments in history.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's got to be said though, he did that on a WrestleMania. I mean, to put this into perspective, this was a WrestleMania that was kicked off with Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, and The Rock all in the same ring, and this is the WrestleMania that had Brock Lesnar defeat the Streak. And yeah, I think I would say, I mean, that's obviously going to be like one of the most iconic images of that WrestleMania is Brock Lesnar on the ramp with a 21 and 1 behind him. But also, as much as that, the sight of 70,000 plus fans pretty much doing yes in unison.
Yeah,
that is popular to interstellar levels.
Oh, by far. You know, I can't imagine the feeling Daniel Bryan was going through, seeing 70,000 people with their arms going up and down, just shouting yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. You know, he's in that WrestleMania, for him to be a part of that, win in the main event of WrestleMania, beyond, it's just, I'm speechless. You know, like you said, The Rock, Hogan, and Stone Cold starting off, Ultimate Warrior being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Probably one of my best WrestleManias to date was WrestleMania 30. You know, a lot of people will probably disagree because they love The Undertaker, and that diminished WrestleMania for them, but it only heightened it for me. You know, truth be told, I will admit I won a tiny little bet on that, going at the online bookies. It was 10-1 Brock Lesnar to break the streak. So I thought, do you know what? It's this year. I believe it was the year that Undertaker was going to lose. So I won a nice little 110 quid off that. So I'm very happy with that WrestleMania.
I mean, and it's not just that WrestleMania itself. I mean, the build up to it was also incredible. with the whole beating John Cena at SummerSlam, Triple H then turning on him, and Randy Orton cashing in Money in the Bank to win that championship, and then Daniel Bryan got screwed out of that big time. That turned people against it, and then also the fact that built up that took Daniel Bryan from here to straight up like into the higher echelons as probably some of the most popular wrestlers of all time. And then so much so that when people found out he wasn't in the Royal Rumble, Rey Mysterio, notorious good guy, got booed. People rejected Batista winning. That Rumble was considered one of the worst in history, primarily because Daniel Bryan wasn't in it.
Yeah, it shows how popular he was at that time, and that's why he deserved everything he got at WrestleMania. Everything he worked for in the last, not just 5-6 years at WWE, but everything he worked for those 15, 16 years, it all came to a head at WrestleMania 30, and it's such an emotional moment for his fans who followed him in his early days as well, and him being told he'd never make it because of his size, because of his look, he'd never make it, and he proved the critics wrong that night.
I mean, as well, like one of my favorite, I think that's like one of my favorite WrestleMania promos as well was before the Triple H and Bryan match, the whole Imagine Dragons monster promo. Yeah. I really wish they, for that retirement speech, they'd like created another montage set to that music, because that just it suited so well. It's like, I'm gonna lay her, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna end this pathetic moving with a can on a gap. It's like so awesome.
It was like,
you have no idea that people's desire to see someone like me succeed. That promo,
amazing promo, wasn't it? It's got to be one of the best promos.
It's up there with My Way on the Highway for WrestleMania 17 with The Rock and Austin. Oh man, that's just incredible. I mean, and as well, it's also a testament to Bryan's popularity that his elimination from the 2015 Royal Rumble managed to take that Rumble and make it the worst in history in terms of the way it was received by the fans. Because people had said that 2014 was god-awful because Bryan wasn't in it. And then this year, and then 2015 comes along, and it's even worse.
Yeah, that's right, because he came out, didn't he? He came out, he was part of the Royal Rumble. Everyone thought, yes, this is Daniel Bryan's time to win that Royal Rumble. And then he got eliminated. And
halfway through as well.
Everyone knew that was it for the Rumble. Not even The Rock could save that Royal Rumble, and that's saying something.
I mean, when The Rock cannot turn around the fans' opinion of that match, I mean, the problem. I mean, I think that's as much as why. I think that's a great. I think Daniel Bryan inadvertently has a great part to play in the reason why Roman Reigns just hasn't been well received, because I think it's fair to say that I think that almost 100% of WWE fans would rather have Daniel Bryan in the main event of WrestleMania 31 than Roman Reigns. And they were just like, do you know what they did? They like literally got, I haven't got anything to shove down my throat, but they literally got Roman Reigns went, have it, you will have Roman Reigns, whether you like it or not. We're having Roman Reigns. Do not complain. It's like, no, we want Daniel Bryan, you idiots. It's like this is exactly the same kind of problem that sunk WCW and allowed WWE to rise up in the first place, was promoting the guys that fans wanted to see, like The Rock, like Steve Austin at the time, like The Undertaker, like Mankind. While you had WCW were literally doing the NWO constantly. It's like they've forgotten the reason why they are currently the number one, and that's what it felt like, I think, at the time, in not promoting Daniel Bryan at that point.
Well, yeah, there wasn't really much they could do. I mean, they tried. it's hard because that, in my mind, that saying that Royal Rumble was bad, you know, and Roman, I felt so bad for Roman Reigns at the end of it, I must admit, because it wasn't. People started going on about his ability on the mic not being that great, always forgetting his lines, and it's like, but when he was in the Shield, you know, you loved him. He still got that same style. It was the fact that Daniel Bryan wasn't involved. It could have been anyone that night. Anyone. Santino Marella could have won that night, and they all would have booed because it wasn't Daniel Bryan. And this is the thing, that he'd been built up so much, and he'd worked his way up so much that was all anyone could talk about was Daniel Bryan. No one else. We didn't want to see anyone else as champion other than Daniel Bryan, you know. And he was still part of a good match at WrestleMania. That ladder match was pretty insane. I must admit, a very good ladder match to win that Intercontinental Championship. So in my mind, it was, and the way WrestleMania 31 went down at the end anyway, in the main event, it couldn't have gone any better in my mind. I think they did pick, in the end, they had the right man win the WWE World Heavyweight title in Seth Rollins.
Yeah, because I think when they went and pressed ahead with Roman versus Brock, and they refused to alter their plans based on the support for Bryan, which I thought they might actually do again based on what the main event at Fastlane is, Roman versus Bryan. I think there's only one for that match. They couldn't. They were in a lose-lose situation if either Brock or Roman won. If Roman won, the fans would have literally puked up all of the force-fed. I think that was part of the problem as well. They were keeping Daniel Bryan away from where we wanted to see him, and they're just shoving Roman Reigns at you, just like, even though it's like, no, you don't want Roman Reigns yet. I mean, in the Shield, it was more controlled, I think.
Yeah.
To an extent, he wasn't on his own, and it's the thing with Roman is he's not alive on the mic. He does feel like somebody reading a set of lines. I get that from Roman, but I think that's kind of the problem. So they couldn't have Roman win because I think fans had just rejected that title reign with interest. They couldn't really have Brock win it because they need their title on television, really. So yeah, they came out of that okay, but. And obviously Daniel Bryan walked away with the Intercontinental Championship again. But the interesting thing was, I think me and Marcus and everybody who went to WWE Raw on, was it the night 13th? Yeah, 13th of March 2015, Raw at the O2 Arena. I think everybody who's in the arena that night probably witnessed Daniel Bryan's last professional wrestling match. Because I think it was literally the next day he got pulled off that tour before SmackDown. I mean, and you can see I've got the video on my YouTube channel. It's somewhere on my YouTube channel. The whole the last, Daniel Bryan coming out and the ovation he got, insane as always. I think we must have seen his last match. We must have done, because the next night he was pulled off of TV, and the next thing you know, he's got an injury, and now. That was it, And the sad thing about the match was it wasn't even broadcast on television. It was after Raw match, because they ended Raw on the Randy Orton and Seth Rollins naming their stipulations for their match.
Yeah.
And then after that we had Big Show, Luke Harper and Sheamus versus Dean Ambrose, Dolph Ziggler, and Daniel Bryan. As our main event, which Daniel Bryan got the pinfall in from the running knee, and as like I say, I think might have actually watched his retirement match.
It's madness, I thought he'd get through his injuries. I thought it was good, For me, it was unexpected. Yeah. His retirement. I thought he was doing really well. The rumors were that outside doctors were clearing him. I think 2 doctors, in fact, cleared him outside of WWE. But the doctors within WWE, they're very cautious these days when it comes to injuries. So I think as rumor has it, they were not able to clear Daniel Bryan. So whether he's taken that as maybe I'm not fit to be a wrestler anymore, like my body can't take it anymore, we will never know really why. For me, there's got to be other reasons than his injuries as to why he retired. I don't know whether that was to do with the fact that the doctors weren't clearing him within WWE. I don't know, but either way, it's a shame. Whatever the out is, a big shame that Daniel Bryan's had to retire. Yeah, we're all going to miss him, man.
Yeah, that is the ultimate thing. It's a big loss from the industry, really. I mean, it's like I think the story is that he had another brain scan that revealed that things just were not fine. There was there are injuries outside of the shoulder that was keeping him out of action. The shoulder was cleared. Apparently, the story is that the shoulder was cleared, but there's like mounting damage to his head from concussions. And the fact is that I think the story is that if he'd taken any more, it would have been severe problems.
So that would have been probably why WWE because they're very, very.
Ever since Benoit, concussion has been their big thing.
Yes, yeah, they're now very, very cautious when it comes to concussions. Obviously, you don't see chair shots to the head anymore. We don't see that at all. Yeah, so that would be the reason WWE doctors wouldn't clear him. So yeah, I didn't actually know that. So that's good information to receive from you, Dan. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Not a problem. But I can't really continue with that catchphrase because I don't exactly like it. So yeah, that's I think as much as I have to say really about that. It's just that's just the biggest I think star our industry has to offer right now is gone.
We'll always have. There's always, we've got so much more talent to come up to the big shows of WWE. I mean, if it wasn't for Daniel Bryan, we wouldn't be seeing Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, Hideo Itami, Kevin Owens. So much to look forward to. And now AJ
also
Styles.
The phenomenal one, yes, the AJ.
Yeah, there we go, phenomenal one. But yeah. So AJ Styles, I think there's so much more to come and so much more to see in WWE. So, it's not gonna stop at Daniel Bryan. It's a big shame, but yeah, he's paved the way for future stars.
Yeah, I think he's the big thing he's shown us is that you can succeed even if you're not the 6'6", 300-pound muscle bound, pick people up, throw them around wrestler. You can still really succeed in. He's basically broke the myth that existed a lot since WCW's days. You hear Kevin Nash refer to this a lot. Vanilla midget. He basically broke the myth of the vanilla midget, completely shattered it. Because Daniel Bryan is at least 3 times a bigger draw as Kevin Nash ever was. I think it almost seems to be fair to say. And yeah, he's opened up the door for other guys like that. One guy I'd really love to see get given a shot is Adam Cole as well, from Ring of Honor. That would be huge.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. But we are running over time at the moment. Now, before we end up doing a Jason King and going for 2 hours, I think we're going to have to start to wind things down. There is still some very, very, very official business we have to get done before we can say goodbye to you all tonight, because, as always on this school, as the school, that's a real big indicator. You can tell I'm tired tonight because, yeah, that's the reason why I have a massive cup of coffee, which is as big as my face. Look, see how big that cup of coffee is? It's as big as my face. It's got nothing to do with camera trickery of it being closer to camera than my actual face.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No. Nothing to do with that. A bit tired, so I'm slurring words. But yes, as a trainee wrestler, I love to plug schools because I think it's the only reason why I wasn't doing this sooner is because I didn't know about the schools. So I want people to know about schools. So if they're thinking they want to go, they know where they can do it. So down here in Cornwall, I like to start here in Cornwall because it's where I live. We have CPW, which is the Cornwall Professional Wrestling. They have their boot camps every fortnight, which is normally 5-hour sessions. And they cost, I think, about £30 a session. And like I say, it's £5 sessions. They got loads of guest guys coming down. PJ Jones plugged the fact that he will be down doing some guest sessions in April. I think the vast majority of them will be being conducted by this man here in this poster, John Harding, the Rocker, John Harding. He's done the last 2 that I've been to. And they're fantastic sessions. Literally, you get a lot in there. You get some very good cardio warm up. You get time to sit down, talk to your trainer, and you get to do a lot of technique. You get to do some slams. There's boxes. There's crash mats. Rings will be coming down, all inside a big gymnasium. So it's a place where you can really go to. That is at St. Austell, the Penrith Academy. That's where they're hosted. And when you're there, you can check out the actual venue for CPW shows, which we were at yesterday. I've got to admit, I've been to 2 of those sessions now, and had a very good time learning the craft there. If you want to know more about the CPW boot camps, I will put links in the description, so you can find out about that. Now, if you don't live in Cornwall, what if you live in Plymouth? Well, don't you worry. There's a wrestling school for you too. There is PWA School, which runs every week on Sunday at the Elite Fitness. Runs from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. With your head trainer, John Harding, who teaches there every Sunday, apparently. And if you want news, I've heard rumors that there may be guest guys coming down there to also help out with the training, which would be huge for everybody who goes to that. That would be that's £10 a session. Or if you can only make one of the hours, John's in one of his promo videos says he can cut that down to £5 if you can only make one of the hours. Or you could do £35 for the month. That is the PWA, Plymouth Wrestling Academy, Plymouth Wrestling Association Training School, run by John Harding at Elite Fitness. That's also a great place to go to. As PJ Jones also said, though, PJ Jones, he was here on episode 3 of Wrestlecast. He also promoted the interests of DWA, that's the Devon Wrestling Association, who, along with their return show on March 5th, they are also going to be reopening their school, which had guys like Joel Redmond coaching, had guys like UK Dominator coaching. PJ Jones came out of that school way back when, according I think that's what he said. Yeah, I think I'm right there. So that's all happened, and the Bannon brothers set up that school. And details about when that will be reopening will be on their Twitter and their Facebook. So when all that stuff gets finalized and it's ready to be announced, that will be on their Facebook. So I will be linking you to the Facebooks and the Twitters for those guys so that you can get the news as it gets announced. Because right now, all I know is that there is an intent to open up a school, but I do not know the official details because they haven't been announced yet. But I'm going to keep people's eye on that ball so that when it does open, people know exactly when. And also, the school and the academy that is near and dear to mine and John's hearts is LEP Wrestling Academy in Abbey Road, on Abbey Road in Torquay. This is every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Sunday is 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., I believe. Tuesday and Thursday is currently 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And this is £15 for your first session, or £30 membership. £30 membership for 12 wrestling sessions, 6 hours of wrestling a week for 4 weeks. That equates to roughly 24 hours of wrestling training for £30 a month. A better deal I don't think you can find anywhere, with your head trainer, the pretty boy Danny Walsh, who is also in John's picture there, because he's there with his PWA title. He is the current PWA heavyweight champion, and a man with a lot of experience and knowledge, and also Marvelous Mark Walsh is also going to be down there training as well. He's been there a lot recently. So LEP Wrestling Academy is a place where you can go for a lot of in-ring training, and all top quality with the top coaches. Oh, I mean,
very, very good very good academy to join. LEP, make you feel welcomed. You get a lot of knowledge from Danny and Mark as well. Occasionally we'll have Tyler Hawk come down to train as well. So top-notch trainers, top-notch academy. You can't really fault LEP Academy. It's getting bigger and better. The people down there, the talents that's coming out of it as well, like we said earlier on, Grayson Reeves coming out of LEP Academy, now at WAW. He'll be down here as well doing PWA. But it's such a great academy to be a part of.
Yeah, and that is top notch. Obviously, I mean, I'm there every Tuesday and Thursday that I can be. Currently, work's being a bit of an obstacle for my Thursday training, but yes, I can be found there, training away, throwing people around left, right, and centre. And that's a great thing. And it's like you said, there's a band of brothers like mentality there. I mean, everybody will be happy to do. Well, it's and what I'm trying to say is LEP is awesome.
LEP is the place to be.
And now that is all the official business for the show, and things ran over time by half an hour. At least if we go into the Jason King territory of 2 hours, we did have CPW.
Yeah, luckily I don't talk about myself as much as what Jason King talks about himself. So we won't be hitting the 2 hour mark. But
in fairness, we had some big topics today. We had our fan questions. We had my usual questions, which I think I'm going to have to start cutting down the number of questions I ask, actually, because with fan questions, sort of taking the length of the questions, the interview segments are up. So I might have to start chipping away at some of my own there. But if we keep going with the fan questions thing, which I'm loving, because it produces an unpredictable air to the show, so I love that. But yes, it's time to wind down. I mean, obviously we had CPW roundup, we had all sorts. So yes, it's time for us to do the official business of rounding off. If you want to find out about Wrestlecast and everything that's going to be happening on Wrestlecast, you can find me on my like page, which is Glen Chun on Facebook. You can also find me at Glen_Chun on Twitter. These two places are your one-stop shops for all news about Wrestlecast. And also anything else I happen to be doing, really. I don't know what else I hope to plug yet. John, yourself, anywhere they can find you on the internet?
Like I said, I've got a Facebook page. It's not John Obrey, it's Joe Obrey. But yeah, you'll find loads of all upcoming shows that I'm going to be refereeing, and any upcoming shows that are in the Southwest will always be advertised on my Facebook page. So yeah, definitely check that out. Add me as a friend, and you'll see all the latest news of the Southwest. So yeah, you'll find me on Facebook, definitely.
Absolutely. And that is it. That is it for Wrestlecast episode 5 with the John that we all love. It's an hour and a half. Thank you for if you've watched this whole thing and stuck with us for the whole hour and a half. Big ups to you. mega thank you.
Well done. Give yourselves a pat on the back.
Yeah. You might have to watch this one in stages if you've watched this one back. But yeah, thank you very much, and thank you to everybody who continues to watch Wrestlecast and support it. Hopefully, we'll continue to grow this show and continue to improve the quality. I can continue to add posters and decorations to this back wall I've got here, and that'll be awesome. As you can see, it's growing. We've got CPW posters now. We've got Ligero, we've got John Harding, we've got the Ultimo Dragon, we've got his Holy Wyattness. Yeah, we've got everything going on back there. So hopefully we can continue to grow that. Hopefully with your support, we can continue to bring you the big guests and continue on the same vein. It's been a great ride so far. And I think there's only one, this is becoming a bit of a thing now. Like we tend to end on like something big, right? Like for PJ, he ended on a big winner. Jason King ended on his catchphrases, like it, son. I think there's only one real thing we can end with when it comes to John Obrey, and that is let's round it off with a chanting your name, shall we?
Oh, let's do it.
Let's do it.
We've got to do it, haven't we? You ready?
Here we go. John.